Alright guys, welcome back to another episode of Urban Reef. As you can see, I have fish back in the tank. That would be the first thing to notice. I finished up my 6 weeks going fallow after some velvet that was carried in by one Carl specifically, and it was that guy right there. Since going fallow, the tank was actually very clean, but I had had some algae outbreaks, some green hair algae. I know Mike Lemon has been dealing with the same thing. I had added some Phosguard from Seachem to my sump in just a bag, and it actually started to work pretty well. I did pull out the rocks, scrub them in the sink, and then put them back in the tank. I did not get 100% of the algae off, but the cleanup crew that I had purchased maybe a week before had started to take care of the rest that I did not get. So everything's looking pretty clean. The green hair algae I have left, my fox face will surely take care of. I've already seen him starting to pick at it all. The lights have just come on, so everything is still starting to open up. I headed to that fish place frag swap this past Saturday. I was able to meet Murphy's Reefing. I was also able to meet Scott, Travis from Fish a Hex. All great guys. Met Carl Lust. Great channels. Go check them out, guys. So let me show you what I got, and then I'll show you what I did. So I went up there with specifically trying to get some SPS Carl, and I had gotten this big frag right here in the middle, and I pretty much got that just because my 6-year-old son really wanted it. As you can see, it's got some pretty bleached out spots on it, not so much at the top because that's from growth, but down towards the bottom. I really didn't want it, but you know how some kids are when they want some stuff and they're generous enough to come with you, or not say generous, but you know, want to come with you and try to see what you're doing. You know, try and get them in the hobby. Sometimes you got to get them what they want. So I picked this piece up. It does open up real nice. I think it might be actually starting to get some color back. And then all of a sudden my trigger's going to get in the way. And then I picked up this Acropora piece right here. And as you can see, it's pretty white. When I got it home, I acclimated it. I did not drip acclimate it, I just temperature acclimated it. And then I dipped it in some Revive. From what I hear, Revive can be pretty harsh on SPS Carl. From what I got from Reef to Reef, everybody says maybe 5 minutes, don't go the whole 15 minutes. Or other people say just use the Bayer to dip with. So what ended up happening was I put them in the tank, and then I just proceeded to watch basically, you know, the skin slough right off. As the wave maker came on, I'd watch more skin come off. So I do have some skin left on it. Hopefully it'll start to color back up. Hopefully I didn't kill it all the way. I've heard if you can keep your water parameters and everything pretty stable, you can get them to come back. That is if I didn't completely kill it. But it takes a lot of time, and it might not even come back to be the same color. But if it comes back, I'm all for it. I just fed the tank. As you can see, my acans are real happy right now. The other ones over here. I have heads coming off these things like crazy since I put up these new Ocean Revive lights, guys. I can't say enough about the lights. I've got 4 new heads just developing on this piece here. 2 right there, and there's 2 on the other side. I have moved some corals around. I did get a new Palithoa. My wife picked this one out. It opens up real nice, real beautiful. An ultra grandis paleothoa is what it's called. As you can see, my zoanthids I got are getting bigger and spreading. Now 3 heads on there and just getting bigger. My leather coral on the back is definitely getting bigger. I haven't done anything to really piss it off or crush it with a rock or anything lately, which is actually very good. If there's one thing I can say is leather corals can definitely deal with new reefers and the mistakes that they would make. The next piece I got up at the Lancaster frag swap at that fish place would be this Recordia mushroom. It's very nice looking when it gets out. Let me see if I can get it to actually color up with the lights. It's a purple and orange, and it actually has a green mouth. Looks really nice. Let's see, there we go. I've wanted one of these for a while, but what I did not know is that it is like an anemone. It will move. So guys, make sure your power heads are covered up. It was floating around my tank. I was able to put it on that rock, and so far it's been happy. As you can see, my plating manipura is getting bigger. It's starting to attach to the rock. My chalice coral over here, which has actually captured some shrimp, mysis shrimp. I just fed the tank. So that's starting to feed, and that thing is getting bigger by the day. Also, I picked up this SPS Carl, the Hydrophora, from Fish a Hex, and I too caused that to shed its skin, basically drop polyps. If you look real close when the actinics are on, you can see some of the bright green that is left over. It is great fluorescent green coloring, so it's not all gone, so hopefully it can come back. My bird's nest here, guys, is getting huge. It's growing fast. Probably knocked that thing off the rocks 3 or 4 times too already. I just keep putting it back up, but it's pretty hardy. As you can see, it's getting a whole bunch of new branches coming off. I have been dosing the BRS 2-part to keep my alkalinity at 9 and my calcium around 430. And then if you look here, I still have my candy canes, doing pretty good. My orange hammer, still doing good with three heads. My nitrates have just started to come back up, so they should start to make these guys a little bit happier. They were bigger before I went fallow. And if anybody knows, you know, corals like some nutrients in the system, some phosphates and nitrates. So you don't actually want to be very, very clean. My octospawn or frog spawn has also captured some food. Right there, it's also in the middle of splitting. I came down here in the night one night and I'm like, why is there this gigantic bubble in the middle? Come to find out, that's how they split heads. It bubbles up, but this thing's getting huge. This thing's always happy. And then we have my donut coral that is apparently getting robbed by the Hulk. He's got to be one of the largest hermit crabs I've ever seen. So he's probably my wife's favorite. Forget all the fish or the coral, but this hermit crab is just gigantic. Every time I go to a fish thing, she asks me if I got a shell. I have yet to get a shell for him. But he's got to be, he's bigger than $50. So, he has ripped other hermit crabs right out of their shell. Does eat my cleanup crew, but if I was to get rid of him, I think my wife would kill me. Now guys, the fish. I still have my Melanoris wrasse, my fox face, my Picasso clownfish, and the Niagara trigger. I'll tell you what, since having them in the quarantine system, they were real skittish, didn't come out too often, and I just never really noticed their size, guys. But since putting them back in the 75-gallon display, I've noticed they've gotten fat, real fat. I like to feed heavy, keeps my nutrients where I like them at, usually nitrate at 5 or below. Right now I'm at 2. And my phosphates on my test kit are undetectable. So, guys, everybody's back in the tank, looking healthy. Going to try and get some new additions to the quarantine tank here in the next few weeks. Maybe this weekend coming. See how it goes. But that will be my update. And thanks for hanging in there, guys. I know it's been about 3 weeks since I put out an update. For all you new people that have subscribed, thank you very much. And keep on watching. Thank you. Please subscribe.